Okay, hello dear friends. Here I am at Asian Art Museum, and this is South Asia exhibition, the Buddhist sculpture and Buddhism and statues, shrines. Such a beautiful, beautiful picture. So let's start with the life of the Buddha. I was absolutely struck by the beauty of this picture. It is amazing. Let me zoom in. So there are many stories and anecdotes about the beginning of Buddha, the life of Buddha, the beginning of Buddhism. But more or less it's about such a thing that the Buddha, which is the enlightened one, the enlightened person, lived around 2,500 years ago in north of India. And he had been through many lives. And let me just read it through. His followers have always seen his life as a shining example to all, but what really happened is now impossible to know for certain. Even the earliest stories of his life include miraculous events that may seem hard to take literally. And later versions are even more elaborate, and they differ from one another in many details. The outline of the story usually runs something like this. The Buddha to be had passed through hundreds of previous lives, perfecting himself with the eventual goal of achieving Buddhahood and gaining release from the unhappy cycle of death and rebirth. He determined that he was finally ready for his later life and was born miraculously as the son of a king and queen. The king had been warned that the boy might someday abandon his royal destiny to follow a spiritual path. So the king surrounded him with luxury and tried to shelter him from awareness of the world surrounding. When he was a teenager, however, the prince, sensing his own isolation from the suffering of human life and suffering from the people that he had seen, he left the palace 4 times and saw 3 sad sights and 1 hopeful one. 1 old man, 1 sick man, 1 corpse, and then a wandering truth seeker. The prince was deeply disillusioned with his artificial happy life. So he realized his life seemed happy, but it's so empty and had no content. So he had this awakening. He left his home and family, threw off his royal fineries, and set out to discover why people suffered so much and how suffering could be avoided. So he left his royal life, happy life, good food, good family, and went to hardship. After long and intense self-searching, he achieved a breakthrough into perfect understanding, the enlightenment. He then spent many decades traveling from place to place, preaching and performing miracles. Thanks to his enlightenment, he had freed himself from further rebirth. And so, on his death, he passed into the condition of blissful peace, known as nirvana. So, it's I sometimes feel that this story itself is a summary or short review of the Buddhist doctrine or their thoughts, that life is a suffering, and you need to practice to went through all these sufferings, and finally you reach your enlightenment and came to your stage of nirvana. So this piece of painting is marvelous. This piece of sculpture is marvelous. So let's get away from the story of Buddhism and we come to see some sculptures and appreciate from the artistic and maybe spiritual, but mostly artistic aesthetic of it. So I enter into the third floor, the exhibition hall, and right in front of me is this piece, relatively small sculpture, but it's amazingly beautiful. It's amazingly beautiful. I want to show you how I make this video so that you know if you hear something not clear, it's because maybe I turned a little bit of the camera. One moment. So this is how I make this video. I hope it's okay for you, and please excuse me for any quality that is unsatisfactory. So actually, to tell you the truth, this is exactly what I was thinking. This perfect piece of artwork, the sculpture, is so beautiful, and it does remind us, or it calls attention of Greek art and Greek style. Look at the drapery and look at the face feature, the high, tall, and thin frame of the nose, and the eye, just so perfect. And remember, this was from India, Kandahar. It's quite amazing. And for me, it is always a mystery that India, part of Asia, and people are so different. This must be going back to the Platonic, Titanic period of time, the origin of people. But this one is such a beautiful piece. So later on, there are different archaeologists and found that this one is individually, not related with Greek art. Anyway, whichever way you think, whichever way you view it, we are not here for a historical fact debate. We are here to appreciate. This is a beautiful piece of art, and our human appreciation of art, of beauty, of the perfect shape, of perfection, of charm, of allure. We are very, very similar. The thing that we see beauty in other culture, in other place, it is also beauty. We all say culture is different, but there is something that is universally true. That is the perfection is beautiful. The perfect shape, the perfect expression, and the fine artwork, the workmanship. I am absolutely amazed by this piece of artwork. And on the side is another sculpture. And wow. And this is 1,500, 600 years ago. A piece of artwork 1,600 years ago. Can you believe it? The perfection of it. The workmanship and the craftsmanship of it. You only can do it with the religious passion and dedication. Only when you have such passion, dedication, admiration can you produce such beautiful works. Now, okay, here is another beautiful piece of work, and this one is from Pakistan, and this, for me, it looks so much like in the movie, in the Tang Dynasty, the movie of Tang Dynasty, which is around 1,000 years ago or even further. And the Persian and Pakistani merchants, ambassador visiting China. And if you go to India now, you also see this kind of body build and this kind of shape and appearance. Okay. There are many more beautiful pieces. it's very much beyond my knowledge. So let's just appreciate I am not able to blah 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 on it. This reminds me when I went to India. Maybe I have not taught you about this. I left China to go to Paris, and on my way to Paris, actually, I went through India. I lived in India for a few months, almost a half year, and I visited Kajra, Varanasi by myself, and I went to Udaipur, went to the James Bond Hotel, the Lake Hotel, and this reminds me of my visit to Kajra, Varanasi. Fascinating. Okay, this is Asian Art Museum, first floor, second floor, third floor. I'm kind of disappointed that I missed the Korean fashion exhibition, but on the other hand, the museum is super duper quiet, and it's just perfect for our trip and individualized our own private tour. Don't you agree? And Asian Art Museum is expanding. They are building something new. There will be more things to see. I'm excited. And the coffee shop is closed. It will reopen in March. So I could not have a cup of coffee in the coffee shop. And there was one time I went to a museum with one of my family member, and she said she would like to go to a museum, and every time she goes to museum she would like to go to the coffee shop, have a cup of coffee or something, not big, but that is so special, that is so that cuckoo feeling. So I want to carry that on. Each time I go to a museum, I make sure I go to their coffee shop to enjoy this easy and to enjoy this very special moment. What a beautiful day. San Francisco has never been so tamed to me. It was always either too cold or too windy, but today is winter. San Francisco in summer is always cold and windy, but winter time is the best of it. This is so special. Okay, hello dear friends. So now I am at home, and I am doing voiceover on top of my video shootage, my video recording. And so in the museum, I talked blah blah blah, and when I came out in the street, I didn't do blah blah blah. And then I went to the Modern Art Museum, and such a beautiful sunshine, and it's warm. I wear one shirt, and just so comfortable and so beautiful. So I was walking on the street and look around things, and there was a waterfall, a spring or fountain, and then I took a video of the fountain, and you can see I made a slow motion, but I was just so enjoying the water. I did not care or did not notice about the camera. It was not in the right zoom. So sorry for that. You just bear with me that it is important. Another thing I want to let you know is that you have to be thoroughly enjoy what you do, and do what you do, and do not do what you do not want to do. At that moment, I do feel, beautiful water, beautiful scene, beautiful sky. Let me do some video, do some stop motion, and then I take out the camera very naturally, enjoy every moment I do. And then I went to Modern Art Museum. I do not feel wanting to do video. Something very important, we live a life because we enjoy that, and it's not that I do something for other people that I suffer. That is not good. You do not need to do anything if you do not enjoy it, and make sure you enjoy it, and that joy will come up and will show up in your footage, in your video. So I was outside in the street, and from time to time I take out camera. I take out my cell phone to check some message or something. For some reason, or maybe because I didn't pay much attention in checking the message, I didn't see any reply about my video voiceover. If I knew already that some friends like the voiceover, I might take some more footage. So I was at that moment quite disappointed. Gosh, I spent so much time and I spent so much effort to do this voiceover, and I struggled very much because at the very beginning I could not find an input on the camera, and then finally I found it out. My husband helped me, and so I made it, but I didn't get much reply from my viewer friends. Anyway, when I came back home, I could check email, I could check message, and I found you like it. So I decide, I'm sorry, the computer is making a lot of noise. Let me put it a bit further away from me so that you do not hear that white voice. Okay, so when I came back home, I start to add up this sound, and I went I went shopping. I went to buy some clothes for my family, and I bought glove also, actually. You could not see it. Anyway, I bought the glove from my favorite glove, and then I went back to the parking. I walked a couple of miles, I think a couple of miles. It was a long walk, and walk along Market Street from I walked 1 hour, 2 hours, I think, must be something like a half hour walking without stopping, a real walking. And on my way, I found new shops opening up, and I found these restaurants. So I put my I put my cell phone into the lowest. I could not see myself. Because if the screen is too bright, people will see me taking video footage. And these chefs, the people working there, see they are so busy. And it's so lively. There is something so interesting and so full of life. Their stress and their business, and they're dedicated into one person doing one thing, and it's a big restaurant. It's a new restaurant. I think they are still at a very fresh and I think it's at their peak time, the very high, utmost best time. So look at them. They are fancy, they are chic, they are well trained, they are just doing their business. It's very fun to see it, don't you agree? So I took a video of them. They could not see me because I was outside. They are light. Outside is already very, very dark, and they could not see people from outside. And I did. You can see this is outside San Francisco. I love night in the street. I love walking in the night in the street. Another thing I found very interesting is that San Francisco changed a lot. This street used to be the United Nations Square, used to be a lot of homeless. Suddenly there is no homeless people. Where have they been? Is that because it's winter time or something? Or the city has done something to let people live in other places? I hope they took care of people and took care of the situation. So I went back to parking lot, and this is the city hall. Such a beautiful civic center, and I'm happy that we are together. Enjoy this moment. I love you. I really do. Do.